Hello, and here we are. Welcome back to day 8 of 8 Days of Abundance with Green Tara. It's really great to be back here with each of you, and a warm welcome to those who are just joining us live for the first time. Good morning. Hello. Bonjour. We made it to day 8 of quite an activating journey. My God. There have been so many words that have come out of my mouth over this past week that have been so surprising for me. That is the energy of the Dakinis and the energy of Green Tara. It's that lightning energy, that lightning transmission that helps us wake up and become very sober and present to the truth that is calling us home. So thanks for everyone for saying hello in the chat. If you're watching the replay, feel free to say hello in the video comments. We love reading your reflections. We love reading your feedback. It's actually been extraordinary for me personally to read the feedback in both the chat and in the video comments, because everyone is being so authentic and honest and bright and radiant and very committed to renewing their path with abundance consciousness. So welcome back. So happy to see everyone popping on. Hello, Louise from Ireland. So great. Welcome, Cassandra from British Columbia. Welcome all of our team angels that are live and our certified Sophia Circle leaders. Today, we are exploring the final great virtue that Green Tara shares about in her chapter of the Sophia Code. So we've been talking about this, we're having this dialogue about abundance consciousness through the lens of the Green Tara Key Code 3 transmission in the Sophia Code. The Sophia Code teachings that Green Tara has returned to us in this lifetime. These are her original teachings, and if we were to turn to page 136, you would see that at the bottom of 136, Green Tara is sharing, this is the altar card that was holding my spot in the book. Judith, it's available for you on my website. On the bottom of page 136, there are the 8 great fears that are spoken of extensively in traditional Tibetan Buddhism. And on page 137, Green Tara has channeled, I channeled Green Tara's divine virtues that heal the 8 great fears. So just to review, you can apply these 8 great virtues that heal the 8 great fears to any subject matter in your life. We just happen to be applying these 8 great virtues that already exist within you, and how those 8 great virtues can support your daily abundance practice, your willingness to show up and get super sober to the sovereign creator within you that's here to create reality through belief systems of abundance. So the 8 great virtues that Tara shares with us in page 137 of the Sophia Code, she's saying you can awaken the divine qualities of the Key Code 3 that she represents, that's also within you, to liberate your awareness from the 8 great fears by activating their corresponding virtues. So these are the virtues that heal the fears of, number 1, which we did on day 1, direct knowing. Number 2, unconditional self-love. And just as a reminder, direct knowing is what heals us from ignorance. Unconditional self-love is what heals us from attachment. Interestingly enough, self-forgiveness is what heals up our addictions to hatred. Self-knowing is the corresponding virtue for overcoming arrogance. And we talked about the very subtle ways that the ego structure can use arrogance to keep us from our true self. Self-communion was up next, and self-communion is the the healing empowerment, what helps us move beyond an attachment to jealousy. And then, of course, we rounded out this week with prosperity being the great virtue that heals miserliness, and that faith, which we went into great detail yesterday about, heals up the attachment to doubt. And doubt, although it might not seem that dangerous to be attached to, it can actually wear you down to the point where certain situations in life, certain circumstances could just snap you in half because you've been doubting yourself for so long. When we become attached to fearing life through the addiction to doubt who we are and our ability to receive, to doubt who we are and what we are worthy of, what happens over time is we get primed up to be abused. We get primed up to take a really big fall. We get primed up to, what on earth was just that? That was crazy. I think that was a bird, and then my cat like made this really weird sound. I guess all the birds want to be a part of today's transmission. So this great fear of doubt, let's remember not to minimize it, because our faith is literally, as Jesus taught, what moves mountains in our life. And I was thinking about yesterday's teachings a lot, doubt being overcome with our faith. And I was thinking about when Jesus taught how if you had faith the size of a mustard seed, that you could move a mountain. I mean, if you've ever held a mustard seed in your hands, like, it's so tiny. It's one of the tiniest seeds you would ever encounter. You're like, is that even a seed? I mean, mustard seeds are very, very small. And I thought to myself this morning, like, wow, wasn't saying much that Jesus was saying, hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. I was like, why did he choose that? And so I asked him, and he said, well, that's how much suffering people were attached to. That's how big their fears were. When I walked the earth with them, Jesus said that I had to meet them in an example of where they were really at. And I thought, wow, how fortunate for them that they got to walk side by side with you, Jesus. And then also how incredibly frustrating that must have been for someone such as Jesus, that was fully embodying his Christ consciousness, who was walking consciously with the masters. It was, it really gave me yet another glimpse into his life and what his journey was like here in human form. So, honestly, given how much matrix programming that that we face every day, how much our society has programmed us to live in fear, to separate ourselves from our divinity, to believe that we are constantly in lack. This parable of, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, which, let's break that down a little bit. If you have the willingness to tap into the massive divine virtue of faith that you already are, even just a little bit, even if you just take one little step forward towards the faith that you are, that is moving the mountains of resistance that would keep you doubting yourself. Because sometimes our if we are attached to doubt, it can create a mountain that's right in our own way from our greatest success, our greatest happiness, our greatest peace, our greatest prosperity. And so we've gone on this journey over these past 8 days, looking at how these virtues flow together. We went from direct knowing, which is very crown chakra to heart, this full body somatic knowing on a cellular level that helps us overcome ignorance. And ignorance, which is so interesting, it's like you can be really ignorant and not even know that you're ignorant of something. And that other great fear of arrogance can hide that from our awareness in such tricky ways.